Hi, good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, we're back full circle from a while ago when we were Flavor of the Month, as I always used to say, on various hate sites. We call them hate sites because they are there to destroy. Kind of remind me of an experience that I had some time ago with someone that I was visiting. I saw a book. I may have given you this example before, but it's such a good one because it really works. I looked at a book that was on his coffee table, and it looked like it was full of really nice pictures. So I picked it up and said, "Can I look at this?" He was very pleased because he tells me I wrote that book. Well, I didn't know too much about this man, but when I saw the book and not read the book, but looked in the book, I learned a lot more. The book was full of the most beautiful animals, lion, all what we would call big game, rhinoceros, elephant. The only thing was that they were all dead. He had killed them all. He was what they used to call, laughingly, when John Wayne was the hero of the day, the big game hunter. The big game hunter. That's where, from a distance, with a very high-powered rifle and probably a telescopic sight, they shoot down these beautiful animals. And it did have photographs of him stood very manly with his foot on the dead body of beautiful lions, just gorgeous, what had been gorgeous living animals, and he had killed them. So I'm looking at what's the bottom line in a man's life, in a man or a woman's life. What's the bottom line? What do you use your energy, your creativity, your strength and your courage for? What is the end result? Well, for this man, the end result was that he had, in a moment of what he considered, I'm offering what I imagine was his reasoning for what he did. The adrenaline rush, and then the kill, and then going over, and then, with his foot on the various parts of this dead animal's body, he would then have his photograph taken, and it would go in the book. And his house did have some trophies. But the end result, from my view, was that it was death and destruction. Because these beautiful creatures that had walked the earth were now no longer walking the earth. They were dead. They were just dead meat. So, from my point of view, and it always depends on whatever your point of view is, from my point of view, his bottom line was death. Now, if a photographer goes out and shoots beautiful animals, his bottom line is not death. It's a moment, a glimpse of incredible life, of great majesty, of Mother Nature having created some wonderful, awesome creature, and he had captured a moment. And that's his bottom line, is a creation of great beauty. So I guess you have to ask yourself what your actions lead to. Do they lead in terms of destruction? Do they lead in terms of life? Well, when I came to the Philippines, for a while, Beth and I just enjoyed our married life. We just enjoyed what we were doing. We pretty much stayed at home. I worked on the house. Beth was the housewife. and we were actually very happy. We almost, we got to about maybe 3/4, or maybe that's an optimistic judgment. We got to where we could live in the house, and so we were able to move out from Nanai's house, where we did everything in a Filipino house, as any Filipino that is, or Filipino is watching this will agree. Everything is open plan. The walls end just below the roof, so everything is known by everyone. So we needed a married life, and we got it when we moved into our own house, unfinished as it was, and it's still unfinished, because we got involved in doing what we're doing, and we got involved in the church, we got involved in helping kids to get to church where they perhaps would have had a very long walk, and stuff like that. We got involved. So what did we feel our bottom line was? Well, I felt for the first time in my life that I had begun to think of others and to serve. That's what I felt. And strangely, because I've had, for what a lot of people might consider a very varied and exciting life, I've had a measure of acclaim, a measure. Not world renowned, not even country renowned, but I worked in some successful bands, and I enjoyed a measure of admiration and critical acclaim. I felt that I was good at my job, and a lot of people agreed. So that was my measure of acknowledgement and acclaim, and I really did work hard at that. Well, it was really much more about me than it was about serving. I was focused on being much more successful, of money, of material things, even though I'd always focused on the spiritual, I like to think, and that has been a search for most of my life. But in the main, it was really working out how I could have more, how I could be better served, rather than how could I serve others better. And when I met Beth, things changed. And for her, she had worked in a hospital. She had had a good job that she went straight into after she was able to graduate from being a working student, and she went straight into the hospital that had afforded her the ability to be a working student and to earn enough to be able to scrape by. And then she got a job with that hospital. So that's where she was when we met. And we later found a mission of trying to help those who are less fortunate. And that became our mission. And the bottom of the line was that we were helping, and that's what we felt. We both felt that. We both felt extremely fulfilled because of that. Then, as you probably know, if you're watching this and you've kept with this for this far, you'll know that we have our challenges right now. That's why I said at the beginning that we seem to have come full circle. About a year ago, maybe a little bit more, when we had started our site and we were maybe in 6 months into our channel, we were the flavor of the month for maybe. At one time, someone said that we were flavor of the month for the hate sites on about 10 sites. Well, we've stepped down a little bit. We're not quite as popular now as we were. Okay, but we are apparently the stars for hatred on something like 5 different hate sites. And this is what I would hope for the future as far as hate sites go. And the hate sites are all about destruction, all about bringing down anybody that they feel is a scammer, a thief, any one of those derogatory, confidence trickster, all of those where people are doing things which are dishonest, and they've set themselves up to pull these people down. And as I say, we're the flavour of the month at the moment. Okay, well, I would hope for a future in which, and if I can borrow that phrase, that I have a dream that there will come a time when, yes, you can go and you can try to put something right if you see a wrong being done, but just as in, if you were to go into court, you would not be allowed to simply make allegations and have them accepted as being the truth. You would be required to offer proof. And if you got up and started saying some of the things that are being said about us, you would not be allowed to do that. You could be held accountable. And my dream is that at some point in the future, people making wild allegations without having proof will be required to be accountable for that. Now, in the Philippines, they do actually have quite strict laws of slander and libel. Now, the problem with YouTube, problem with the internet, is that you can go online and apparently say anything that you want about anybody, and you can do it under an alias. You can set yourself up as Joe the Iceman. You can set yourself up as William Shakespeare too. You can set yourself up as anything, and then hide behind that invented persona, in which you then go out as a knight in maybe not quite shining armour, and you can make allegations. Well, when we were asked to go and see the NBI recently, we were showed a letter that had been sent by someone complaining, and it was full of allegations. Now, some of the allegations were quite funny, actually. One of the allegations was, well, Terence is using a cement mixer that was given to him to do his own house. I'm guilty on that, okay? Yes, hand on my heart, or whatever. You can't see this, but I got my hand on my heart. Yes, God help me, I used the cement mixer to do some work on the front of the house. Sorry. What are we looking at here? What isn't this a little bit like when you were in an argument with your brother and your mother comes in and says, all right, what's going on now? And you say, it was him, Mum, I didn't do anything. Isn't that what we're looking at here? That you're not required to offer any justification for what you are accusing someone of. And you can do your best to set up a site and blacken someone's name without ever being held accountable. My dream is that that will end. And if I am to say something about someone else, I will be required to justify it. Why are you saying that? What can you offer as proof? And that's my dream, that YouTube will be cleaned up. You know, in America, in the UK, those are my two main countries of experience, they take hate crimes, inciting hate, very seriously, especially if at the moment it's about various religions. you know, you're not allowed to incite hatred against someone without having some kind of cause to do it. My dream is that this will be carried through onto the internet, and there will be at least some recourse for action. I'm not suggesting that the governing body should be YouTube, who then monitors sites and says, we don't like what you're saying about good old Joe or good old Harry. What proof have you got? No, I'm not suggesting that they be the policeman, but I am suggesting that it should be easier to locate the also known as of anyone, and be then able to defend yourself before your accuser. That's my dream. And I hope that we will see that, and maybe everything that we are going through right now will come to an end. Yes, of course, it's extremely it's stressful for us now, because we're fighting shadows, aren't we? We're fighting people who don't have to reveal themselves. They've given over their complaint, unfounded as it is, to a government body who is in the process of following through and finding out, if they can find out, the truth. So, let's make people accountable for wild allegations. The MBI officer that interviewed us held up the letter like this and said, no case could be brought against you for anything in this letter, because it's all unsubstantiated allegations. And the person who wrote this has never presented himself here. We've never seen him. It's just a name. There's no affidavit that is backed by a signature of someone who is willing to stand by what he says with evidence. I'm looking forward to a time, and I hope it's soon, where it won't be so difficult to locate the people that are responsible for wild allegations against the good name of someone, me or anyone out there who is at the moment almost at the mercy of these people. So, you can do your part by reporting what you see. It's very simple. You just hit report, apparently. And then they can't do just what they like. So we have now 92,000 subscribers. If you are watching us struggle and you want to help, you can write a letter. Now, very often there is one particular group that come through to me on email that I subscribe to, and they take up the fight for the freedom of various people that in various countries are suffering, and they get signatures and they present those. They're freedom fighters, the freedom of others, and I'll look at what is being asked of me, and I'll look at it, and usually what they've done is they make it very easy. They write a letter saying, please, I think you should look again at this and free this man, or look at his case, and then you simply say, I agree, and you can click it, and then off it goes, and that empowers the people to fight in another extended way for the freedom of a particular man or woman. So I think that everybody that watches us and suffers with us, as lots of people did when they watched Beth, especially, that's over 30, probably approaching 40,000 views now, when Beth actually was overcome by the stress of what is happening at the moment, and she cried on the camera, and a lot of people were very touched by that. Well, if you're touched by anything, that's always been our MO. If you are touched by something emotionally in the heart, you can do something about it. And I've always said that kindness and compassion, it comes from the heart, and it starts right there. As you are watching something happening, it starts right there. And I've always said you don't have to come through to any site like ours in order to help. You can walk out the door and you can go over to McDonald's or a restaurant or a park or something, and you can put a hand on someone's shoulder and say, "Hi, how are you doing? Is there something that I could do for you?" And I've always said that. If you're wondering what you can do for us, write a letter, write a note, write to anybody, tell others about what's happening, tell others about how this can happen to people who are actually just trying to do their best to bring good change. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. I thank you for being with me and for listening, giving me your time and attention. And I want you to know that you are much loved and appreciated by Beth and I for all of the kindness and all of the prayers and everything that you have given to us. It is so much appreciated, believe me. We look at everything, and even though there are those that we delete or get rid of or block or whatever, it is overwhelmingly good that we receive, and we are duly overwhelmed. Thank you for being with me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share, especially if you are Filipino, Filipina, and you're seeing something happen in your country that you would like to change. If you have been watching and saying thank you for, as you do, for helping my fellow man. Now, just as a postscript to what I've just been talking about, I've got my glasses on now, so you know I'm going to read. A dear friend of mine who is following our struggle and supporting us with relevant information just sent this to me. He was looking at one of the other hate sites which we've been talking about now, who professed to be passionate on having the law adhered to. My friend says, P.S. If you look closely, section 6, anonymous complaints, it says, no anonymous complaint, including that where the address of the complainant is not indicated, shall be entertained, unless there is evident merit to the allegations as supported by documentary, let me see, I'm gonna lost my place, as supported by documentary or direct evidence. What supporting evidence was provided by the anonymous complaints against us? Point of law noted. Thank you, my friend, and I will include this in my video here, because for all of the ones that claim that all they want is for the law to be respected, for the law to be respected, it's a double-edged sword. It's not just to support whatever the complainant wants. It's not just about that. We have been consistently denied the real ID of the so-called complainants who have made their allegations without any supporting evidence, because there is no supporting evidence. It doesn't exist. because the way that we have kept our meticulous accounts will show. Thank you once again for following us. Thank you for your support. Bye for now.